Hey everybody and welcome! It's another episode of Landmark Live. This is episode 5 of the soon-to-be Emmy Award-winning series known as Landmark Live. We're coming to you tonight from the second story of your historic Platte County Landmark building in beautiful downtown Platte City, Missouri. We have a fun show lined up for you tonight. We've got a special guest who's going to be great. We've got some games. We're going to play some Plinko tonight. You viewers at home are going to get the chance to play along for some fabulous prizes like concert tickets, Kansas City Renaissance Festival tickets, a foot rub from Chris Kamler, all kinds of special things to give away tonight. So you'll want to stick around for that. I want to ask you right now, if you would, take a moment and share this video, share this live video to your Facebook page. That way your friends will know they can turn to us every Thursday night at 6 o'clock and they can get in on the fun, okay? So please do that for me. And again, as the show moves along, hit like or comment. That puts your name out there. That gives you the chance to play along as a Plinko contestant when we get that far. We also have another fun game of Fact or Crap. Tonight, those questions are going to be directed to our special guest to see if he can match Chris Kamler's perfect 6-0 record from a few weeks ago. How exciting will that be? And we do have a sponsor tonight. Our sponsor is Tanner's Bar and Grill in Platte City. Happy to have Tanner's Bar and Grill as a proud sponsor of Landmark Live. Head on out there. In fact, I think our guest and I are going to head on out to Tanner's when the show is over tonight. So if you want to come by, swing on by and say hi.
Hey, as long as you're buying, I'm going.
I'm buying. The good folks at Tanner's. All right, now here's tonight's special guest. You may know him from his years with the Kansas City Star as a popular columnist in the Sunday Star. He moved on. He wrote for The Pitch. He then moved on to the Platte County Landmark, where he wrote for us for many years, still does some high school sports reporting for us. He's done some radio. He's done some TV. He really made a name for himself, and we're going to get into all of that. The man has some strong opinions, which is how we got to know one another, and we'll tell all those kinds of stories tonight. Let me welcome to Landmark Live Mr. Greg Hall. Greg, thank you for joining the show, sir.
Ivan, glad to be here. So this is the 5th show?
This is number 5.
Who in the hell was ahead of me?
Kamler. Kamler and a couple of paid sponsors. I mean, we got to pay the bills, Greg.
Hey, luckily I'm not following any shoes if Kamler was ahead of me. So.
No, he in fact was not wearing pants, let alone shoes. So that's
and most people know Kamler as the
fake Ned on Twitter. The fake Ned on Twitter. We know him as Kamler. You guys probably know him as the fake Ned. He's a character. But anyway, Greg, tell us how you got into this gig. You wrote a popular column called Off the Couch. It was a sports media soundbite column. Tell us how you got rolling with that.
You know, 1994, we just had our first child. Shannon is now 90. He's 23. And I was home. I stayed home. I worked from the office. Donna was going to the office. And I had nobody around to bounce ideas, conversations off, you know. So I'm bored. Listen to talk radio, AM. And I started the Off the Couch column in kind of that format, and I started faxing that to a couple of radio stations. And
awesome.
The crazy thing is that people started reading them, and I was just blown away. I'm like, damn, these people are picking up on this. So I went and got every fax number from every television station, radio station, newspaper within like 30 miles, and I just at that time you could do multiple faxes, and I would send it out to everybody. And people started reading. Johnson County Sun, matter of fact, they put me in the newspaper there. I just got started there. Fortune would read them.
Yeah, I heard. In fact, that's where I first heard your name. I think Fortune was reading some of your stuff on the air. And
yeah,
I think that's where I first heard your
crazy.
name. Or one of the, I don't know if it was Fortune, but one of the radio hosts mentioned the faxes from you, and that's how I became familiar with you.
Yeah, and Hearn did the same thing. Hearn Christopher, he kind of picked up. I think he. I don't think he got the faxes or heard it on the radio, but it makes no sense. I mean, I'm just a guy sitting at home with his infant son, and but I always had an ear for radio, liked it, enjoyed it, liked that medium. I could write a little bit.
And you're not scared to piss people off, Greg, which is what I like about you. You've always had ballsy opinions. You bring it strong. And that's what we like. And
I think that's just kind of growing up in a family of 15. I'm one of 15 kids, and you just have to take it. And one of the things I was surprised about is how thin-skinned some of the media were when you would critique them, because that was just, hey, I'm just talking here. This is just kind of, you can come back at me, but it wasn't. And I think that was really revealing, especially sports media that have these really strong opinions about sports and athletes. You know, and I would think, well, gosh, I would think you were kind of just used to that, but not so. But it. You know, probably why I'm sitting in this chair, why I know you. You know, we've known each other that long. Crazy story. But that's where I started.
Yeah, 1999 is when Greg and I first came to know one another. Greg was in the middle of a little bit of a rough time, and I sent him an email out of the blue, said, "Hey man, love your stuff, love what you do," and we got to know one another, and that's how he hooked up with the Landmark, and it's been a lot of fun ever since. But
yeah, it was right after I got fired by 1510, and I started my own blog and. You know, yeah, and I think I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old at times. Like, geez, what am I going to do now? And you know, I started the blog, and no one really had a PC at home or you know, it was still dial-up. Yeah, everybody had rotor phones, but you know, hey, it worked. People logged on, and you know, here we are. We're broadcasting with the telephone
live,
right now. Crazy
broadcasting with the smartphone. It's amazing. We'll try to get through this without dumbing down your smartphone tonight. And kids at home, if you don't know what a fax machine is, ask your parents. They'll remember.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
they'll remember how Greg got started by sending out faxes. But Greg, here's what I want to do, because I mean, what I like about you is you don't pull any punches. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw out some names, and we're going to get this thing going. I'm going to throw out some names of some Kansas City sports media types, and you just give me an instant reaction, positive, negative, in between. I don't care. We're just going to throw out names. We're going to do kind of a rapid fire, or at least semi-rapid fire. But let's get rolling with some of the Kansas City sports media names and just get Greg's reaction.
Chris Camler, right?
Chris Camler, the fake news.
I'll be honest with you. Guys that stupid shouldn't be allowed near a microphone, let alone a live mic and on the radio. And somehow he has an audience. I don't know how big or small it is, but yeah, you know. And Fesco surprised me. He's not bad when he fills in on Sunday night on what's it, ABC? I think that he does.
Yeah, Channel 9. I think.
Yeah, it's just Channel 9. Not bad. Of course, he's reading a script there, and you know, probably isn't allowed to go off script with his idiotic opinions. But yeah, he's not a guy I would want to have lunch with. I'll be honest with you.
Do you think Fesco is one of those guys who throws stuff out, doesn't really mean what he says?
No, not bright enough for that.
You think he really means?
No, not bright enough for that. No, he's not sharp at all.
Okay. Sam Mellinger.
Sam's a good writer, really good writer, and you know, Sam and I used to talk quite a bit, converse a little bit. Haven't much in quite a while. I think he kind of soured on me. I don't know if I maybe hit a chord or something here a few years back. I wish Sam had more bite. You know, I want bite in my columnist, and there's nothing or very few things that compel me to read Sam. And you know, say what you want about Whitlock or even Jopo, those guys were a destination. And I hate to always go back there because, hey, those guys are in the past, but we've never recaptured that, and Sam doesn't do that for me. Yeah, I want somebody who kind of rattles their saber a little bit, and the other thing, Sam doesn't have, I don't think he's got a great feel for what people want. You know, he goes out there and goes, oh, here's a great, lovey, cuddly little story. I can tell this about this Puerto Rican guy.
He does try to make us cry, I think, a little too often.
Yeah, and that's okay. But I want to laugh a little bit. I want to get pissed. I want to be, you know, and I don't get that from Sam. And I want that from my columnists, not just Sam. You know, Vahe's even more so on the storytelling side. Vahe Gregorian, he's the other columnist that they hired at the Star, and a guy that, again, nice guy. Sam's a nice guy. We got plenty of nice guys in Kansas City. You know, we need some assholes, and sometimes you've got to be an asshole when you're going to write and be a columnist and stake aside.
And if there were ever two guys who know about being an asshole, it's Greg and I. So we know how to judge an asshole when we see one. Stephen St. John.
Really talented guy, you know, funny, just innately funny, and Stephen's been around forever.
You did a little show with him, right?
Yeah, Stephen. When I have my radio show, I walk into the office and there's St. John and all 5'1" of him, whatever he is, and he is pissed out of his mind. I don't know the guy from Adam. You know, he was a caller. I think it was what was he back then? Mizzou something. Anyway,
was he Rock? MU Rock.
MU Rock. So anyway, St. John was going to get my gig. They were going to give him my job. They hired Whitlock. Whitlock says, the only way I'm coming is if Hall comes with me. These guys did nothing to do with me. So and I did have a shot at the at KMZ at that time for the Royals post game show. But Whitlock talked me into going over there, which was a great move because my career lasted 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But anyway, St. John sees me and he's pissed because he was going to get the gig, and I don't, and he's been doing a wrestling show. He's been doing anything he can just to get on the air. But they were going to give him the night shift show. They gave it to me. But St. John comes on. We do this wrestling show on Monday night. Son of a bitch is funnier than hell. Mm-hmm. So I go to Chad Boger and I said, "We need this guy on the radio." He goes, "Hey, I'm not paying him."
Yeah, I'm not paying him.
He was barely paying me. But so anyway, I talk St. John just coming on as much as possible, just get the airtime. And I mean, look, that's 17, 18 years ago. And I think he's not a guy I look for as an analyst because he is such a fan. Steven's way too much a fan for me to just say, hey, like who he thinks is going to win the game, because he always wants the team he wants to win.
He's a cheerleader.
That's the team's going to win. You know, he's taking the selfies with Andy Reid when he gets off the plane. I'm not doing that's not really what I want. But as an entertainer, as a guy I want to listen to, a guy to make me laugh when I'm driving to work, St. John makes the guys on his show laugh. That's how you know you got somebody who's good.
Absolutely.
He cracks his guys up. Even after 20 years, those guys are still laughing at his stuff.
He's very quick. And speaking of selfies, if you'd like to get a selfie with Greg Hall, we'll be at Tanner's after the show. So come to Tanner's in Platte City. Selfies with Greg Hall, no charge.
If you're somebody who wants a selfie with Greg Hall, I'm not sure we want to have dinner with you, though.
Bud Light, too. Unofficial sponsor, Bud Light. Greg will not have a Bud Light. What are you drinking tonight?
Diet Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi for Greg. I'll probably have a Bud Light.
Free plug for the PepsiCo guys.
Absolutely. Nate Bucati.
Nate does a decent job as play-by-play for the former Wizards, the Sporting KC. But he is way far from what I want on my radio broadcast. Maybe he serves a purpose that he's that lesser light because St. John is so bright. And maybe he's a great foil because that's how they kind of use him. I just don't think Nate's got a great professional voice, a style. A lot of those guys on radio, I'm still surprised at how many ums and ahs.
He does have a little bit of and I think he got that from covering Ned Yost all those years. Because if you listen to Nate Bucati, he'll say and it sounds just like Ned Yost. Because when you listen to a Ned Yost presser, the first word out of his mouth for every question is And I think Nate picked that up.
Yeah. Again, I don't hate Nate but that show works because of the chemistry I think those guys have. Right. But alone, that show really drags. Like when St. John goes on vacation,
forget it.
I'm skipping it.
I'm
skipping it. And I'm not the only person.
Right. And Nate's been known to ask long questions. Have you noticed that?
I think Nate knows that. Yeah, I think I've dug him on that before. We've had some fun with that, and even his own guys. And I think he has a sense of humor. I think Nate does have a sense of humor about some of that stuff. I'm sure no one likes to get dinged, but he's not a bad guy. He can't carry the show by himself. Gutierrez is fine. I like Jake on there, and I think he serves a great purpose. This grumpy, half-drunk Mexican over there, But yeah, that show has great chemistry. Those guys can dig each other. I really like that. You go to Keatsman's show in the afternoon, nobody's making fun of Kevin.
No. Kevin Keatsman.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
You know what? All those guys have been able to fashion a career in radio and sports talk radio here in Kansas City, and they're just kind of one commodity. They're not Intercom, where Intercom has a news station, has FM stations, has stations here and there. They have this little 810 station, and I guess they've got the Louisville station, and maybe there's an FM station that they own that I'm not, I don't think I've got even on my presets. So you've got to give Kevin, because Kevin's the guy who built this thing. Chad's there, the president. He's the guy who kind of put this together and really held it together for all those years because he was somebody you love to hate.
Right.
And I think there's a fan base out there that likes Kevin. I'm not one of them. I think Keith would like to go full Trump. I kind of get that feeling lately if you listen to him. He would just like to go off and just cut loose. But he's got, he still has maybe a kid or two in college. I don't know, but he just can't cut loose yet. But I'm kind of waiting for that where he just starts, where Trump goes on Twitter and Kevin just cuts loose. I think I heard on the way over, he was going off on Terrell Pryor, and he's kind of been caught now in this little lie about the fact that he was called the N-word.
Right.
And then Kevin was just blasting this, and even Danny Cleanscale said, I think you may have gone too far there, or something like that. So but I think Kevin's kind of edging toward that way.
Keatsman is a fantastic interviewer, though. You know, I mean, when he gets a guest on there, he is great at follow-up questions.
He's great at his craft, which we have very little of. Fesco, St. John, Bucati, even, you know, he's got a graduate in broadcasting. None of these guys are pros in my book, as you listen to them on the radio. Yeah. Keatsman's a definite pro.
He is.
He understands nuance. He understands pacing. He almost never misspeaks. The guy's a pro. Hey, he can be an asshole. He's not my favorite guy. Maybe he's not the guy you want to go golfing with. He definitely had, you know, Jack Harry's got Jack Harry for that. But he's a guy who's been able to carve a career and really hold that station together all those years. You got to give him props for that.
Yeah. Mick Schaefer.
I wish there were more Mick Schaefers. You know, Mick Schaefer, talk about a guy who makes fun of himself and his life.
Right.
He's if you're not following Mick Schaefer on Twitter, and you have Twitter, you're doing it wrong, because Mick Schaefer is just an absolute blast. I think it's cool that he's gotten that gig now on television, because he's being exposed now to a lot bigger audience, not just the Time Warner or the Spectrum audience that's getting to see Mick Schaefer and his talent. I expect really big things from him. I always kind of wondered how come he hasn't blown up. I'll be honest, because he has that personality that is something that I would think would play nationally. Yeah. He's that good.
Carrington Harrison.
I like Carrington.
Or is it Harrison Carrington?
It's now that's Therese Paler Therese that always get mixed. It's Carrington Harrison.
Right.
I like Carrington Harrison. He's one of the guys who are in the 610 that I listen to. He plays Twitter really well, because he throws out these little questions, gets his guys going. Right. I think he works his craft. I like his style. It's relaxed. He always it's when I listen to Carrington Harrison, it's like I'm getting the same guy I would get if I was sitting at the ballpark and he's sitting next to me, or he's sitting next to me at the bar. I really value that in now when you listen to Keatsman, he may be like that at the ball game at the bar. I don't know, but he just sounds like he's playing a game there. He is performing. Harrison isn't. Is he compelling? Some of those things, not there. But he's fairly new in the game, and I like him. He's a likable voice. I'll give you that.
Therese Paler from Star. You mentioned his name.
Yeah, good writer. He's not a great writer in the fact that, hey, I've got to go read his game story because I've already seen this. I think that's a tough job. Game stories after games that everybody, especially a Chiefs game, there's only 16 of them. Mm-hmm. We've all seen those suckers. We've already seen the game. You've got to be. Bob Dutton was fabulous at that. Bob Dutton, I could have watched that damn Royals game, and I'll read a Bob Dutton game story because he's good. He's a great writer. He's good on the radio, though, Paler.
I'm confused. But do you follow him on Snapchat?
No.
Because the guy sometimes, especially I noticed it in the preseason, he's a good Snapchat follow because he'll break down plays and video. Pretty. You know,
something he's been doing on Twitter, which is almost impossible. He will imitate play-by-play voices on Twitter. He'll say, "This is the Howard Cosell voice," and then he'll say something that happened in the game, which is really creative. I like creative people like that. So he has that. Yeah, he's great on the radio. I hear him on 610. I think he does a great job.
Right. All right, folks, remember, a game of Plinko coming up soon. It's your chance to win concert tickets. I think we have 2 Diamond Rio tickets tonight. If you're a country fan, this is right up your alley. We've also got some Kansas City Renaissance Festival tickets, a chance to win a Landmark book or 2, a chance to win a Landmark subscription, and again, a foot rub from Chris Kamler. But first, we're going to play some Fact or Crap with our special guest tonight, Mr. Greg Hall. Greg, what we do here, and you're new to the show, you're a Landmark Live virgin. We have 6 basically questions. They're statements that I'm going to read, and you're going to have to tell everybody if this is fact or this is crap. Okay?
Kamler went 6-0.
Kamler did go 6-0.
Did he write them?
I think he may have stolen the question.
I can't believe that guy went 6-0 in anything.
I don't think he can
maybe
believe it
rejections.
I don't think. But anyway, Greg is a marathon runner. We haven't gotten into that yet. So one of these questions.
I'm retired.
Oh, you don't run anymore? Seriously?
Well, I run, but I ran 18 marathons between the age of 55 and 60. And after I got to be 60, I said, I'm out. So I'm just, jogging 3, 4, 5 a day.
Okay. And you have run Boston Marathon like 4 times, right?
I have.
Awesome.
I have. Ran Boston 4 times.
Okay, man. Here's the first fact or crap. The exact marathon distance of 26.2 miles only became a thing in the 1908 London Olympics because the Queen of England asked to be able to see the race from her castle. Is that fact or is that crap?
That is absolute fact. Those Brits are unbelievable people.
Greg Hall, 1-0. He is correct.
I haven't seen these either. Now I'm going to guess I'm going to miss enough to get those.
No. Now, this one's pretty easy. I think you'll nail this one too, actually.
All right.
I wrote this before I realized that you were going to be playing, so I was kind of gearing this to our audience, but this should be good for you.
Because did the audience participate in these?
Usually we do, but tonight we're just letting the audience play Plinko. But
Okay.
I wanted to see if anybody could match Kamler's 6-0, and I thought if anybody could do it, it would be Greg Hall.
I want 7 questions.
Well, if you hit all 6, I will make up a 7th. I guarantee you. No, okay, our next question. The ABC announcing team on the very first Monday Night Football telecast in 1970 consisted of Frank Gifford, Don Meredith, and Howard Cosell. Is that fact or is that crap, Greg Hall?
You know, that was, I believe, the first crew. I'm guessing somebody else could have been in there, but that's got to be fact.
Wrong, sir. It was Keith Jackson doing the play-by-play.
Yeah, I thought you might sneak one in there on me, okay.
Yeah, so you're 1-1.
What was Keith Jackson's famous line? What would he always say?
The Big Uglies, wasn't it?
Big Uglies was one, yeah.
What was another one?
The Sooners, was it the Doggies? I don't know.
Okay.
I missed that one, huh?
You did.
Kamler remains...
Kamler will not be. He'll be so happy tonight. Okay. Fact or crap, Greg? Pumpkins are 90% water. Is that fact or is that crap?
Aren't we 90% water? I'd say that's fact.
You are correct. It's
yeah.
2 victories, 1 loss.
I majored in biology. Obviously, it's not broadcasting.
All right, we're going to get a little tricky on you now. Fact or crap, Greg? An espresso has less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Is that fact or is that crap?
I do not drink coffee or espresso. But an espresso is supposed to give this big jolt, so it's got more caffeine. So what did you say that it had less?
I said an espresso has less caffeine than a cup of coffee.
I'm going to say that's crap.
No, in fact, that is a fact.
Another tricky one there, huh?
Yeah, we got a trick out of it.
But you know, the thing about that is that don't you drink coffee and espresso to crap?
Yeah,
I mean, there's something there.
I think you're onto something there. That's actually very alert. All right, fact or crap? An irregular movement by the moon caused parts of the Mississippi River to flow backward on December 16, 1811. Is that fact or is that crap?
Jeez, that sounds like absolute crap. But I'm going to, since everything I think is one way, I'm going to go with the other because it does have the tides, but the river.
An irregular movement by the moon caused
fact.
You are wrong again.
God dang.
Can
I go back and get that one I got wrong so I can go, oops,
is that 2 right and 3 wrong? Is that where we are, guys? I think that's 2 right and 3 wrong. This one is very personal in nature. I think you'll get this one. Fact or crap, Ivan Foley once gained access to the Arrowhead Stadium press box for a Monday Night Football game and wrote a piece about his experience that night using the fictitious name Poofus Drawers.
Now, I don't know about the Poofus Drawers, but you definitely got, you got access to the
This
press
is
box
true.
often.
I would have been in there anyway, but did I write a piece about that night under the fictitious name?
You are exactly the guy that would do that. I'm saying it's a fact.
It is a fact.
Yeah.
In fact, I submitted it to your website. You actually published it for me.
Poofus Drawers?
Poofus Drawers, man.
I was a hell of an editor.
Yeah. And you know where we got that name was that's the time when the Chiefs on their website were doing this Rufus Dawes.
Oh,
thing.
God, Rufus Dawes. There's a name.
Yeah, so I came up with a little play on that. We became Poofus Drawers. So there, what'd you finish, 3 and 3?
Did I?
Or was he 2 and 4? Anyway, check the video. Anyway, all we know is he did not.
All we know is that the tides. Now, so the tides did not affect the Mississippi.
No, it was. I should give you the correct answer. That it was an earthquake that caused the Mississippi River to flow backwards for a short time that night. It was an earthquake, folks. Google that if you don't trust me. So let's move on. Shall we play Plinko? Let's get on to Plinko, you guys. This is where you viewers at home get a chance to play along and win some spectacular prizes. Greg, if you would join me over here by the Plinko board, we're going to walk on over, and hopefully the camera will follow us. I think my camera operator fell asleep. Here we are. This is Plinko, my friends. This is you may have seen this game on The Price is Right. This board was made by a former Landmark employee's husband, and it's very cool. It's specific Landmark Plinko. What we do, we take a disc, and we drop the disc. And wherever it lands, you have a chance to win. Right there, you don't win anything, but here is our list of prizes. If you land in this spot, you get a free 1-year Landmark subscription. This slot wins you 2 tickets to the Kansas City Renaissance Festival. This slot is between the lines. You don't win anything, but it's my favorite spot on the board. Free book if you hit this one. And free concert tickets to Diamond Rio if you hit that one. Here we go, everybody. I'm going to do the... Do we have a contestant?
Jeff McDonald.
Jeff McDonald is watching at home tonight.
Jeff.
Hello. Jeff's nickname in high school was Buns. Ask him sometime why that is. High school nickname Buns. Here we go. I'm going to drop it. Here we go, Jeff.
Oh.
Jeff hits between the lines.
You had the name before Keesman.
I did. I wrote my column before Keesman, but I'm sure he didn't steal it from me. It's a pretty common phrase, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but anyway, Between the Lines was active in the Landmark before the Between the Lines radio started. By the way, let me go over the books we have for you. If you land in the book location, you got the chance to win The Silence.
This is great.
Yes, that's written by Chris Kamler. The Silence, the series.
Kamler did do one thing right in his life, wrote this book.
Well, yeah, and he put my name in it, I think, at some point. Which
Well,
is,
that's another mistake, but...
yeah. Or you can choose a Stories from Platte County Landmark People by award-winning photographer Bill Hankins.
Hankins is a great guy, great photographer. I've been enjoying his work for years.
Or this book, this is my book, fresh off the press today, Jason Whitlock and Me, a non-love story, self-authored and self-portraits in there from me. So here we go. Greg, you spin this time. And do we have another contestant?
How about Gary Pixler?
Gary Pixler!
Gary Pixler.
You start that thing wherever you want, Greg.
All right, let's start over here. Let's get a little different here.
Oh!
Wait, Gary.
Oh,
yeah.
Gary gets 2 tickets to the Kansas City Renaissance Festival with an assist from Greg Hall.
That's my Frogger move.
I'm going to leave those there because someone else may want to win a pair of tickets as well. I have a couple extra of those. Do we have one more contestant?
Let's go Renee Lawrence.
Renee Lawrence!
And that's Linda. That's your wife, Linda, over there.
That's Linda reading names. Cindy Reinhardt, 25-year Landmark office manager, running the camera tonight. Greg, you do it again.
All right,
I mean, you gave away a prize.
Let's start over here. Whoa! Hold it.
I'm going to give Renee
one more time.
Well,
Between the Lines just keeps
everybody loves Between the Lines, apparently.
You know what?
Is this game rigged?
I'm sorry. Renee, you're winning something here tonight.
Oh, she hit the tickets!
Oh, yeah.
She hit the tickets. Renee Lawrence, you just won 2 tickets to Diamond Rio.
That's a concert tickets, right?
That show is Saturday, October 28th at Ameristar Casino. Congratulations, Renee. Now we're going to move back over and we're going to talk some more sports with our man, Greg Hall. Thanks for playing along, you guys.
Somebody wants to hear the story of Derek Jeter in the Yankee clubhouse.
That's a good story.
It's Brian Kubicki.
Brian Kubicki wants to hear a story about Derek Jeter in the Yankee clubhouse.
Okay, Brian Kubicki, there's a Landmark columnist, right?
Absolutely.
Brian's another guy I met with the OTC, and he was the smartest guy that would email. You know, there was 2 guys that would email me, Ivan and Brian, and so Brian won that easily. Okay, so I'm writing for the Star, and I'm in the Yankees clubhouse as part of the game, 3-4 hours, and Jeter's in there with some of the Yankees, and they have this big leather couch.
Yeah.
I know nothing, so I'm just sitting on a couch with Jeter and 3 other Yankees, and there's a big television. We're just sitting there, and I'm just shooting the shit with Jeter and these guys, and I said, "Hey, Tony," and Jeter looks at me, and Derek Jeter looks at me, and there's a guy who played tight end for Nebraska named Tony Jeter. And, so I just kind of a brain fart, right? And I say, "Hey, Tony." And Jeter was really, really a nice guy. Young. Now, that's probably about his 2nd year, maybe in the league or so. Right. And he goes, "Who'd you think I was?" I said, "I know you're Derek Jeter." And he goes, No. Who'd you think I was? And so I'm trying to explain to him. I said, "Well, Nebraska had this tight end, Tony Jeter, back in the mid-'60s, and Jeter's not, he's thinking, oh, no, you confused me with something." But he was kind of hurt. Oh, yeah. And kind of, he wasn't mad. He was more hurt than mad. I think that's the deal. So as I'm doing this, one of the suits comes over with the Yankees, and he goes, "Dude, couches for the players only. I mean, this is like the mafia guy, suit, tie, all this, and I'm just trying to. He's like gets me by the collar, pulls me up out of there, and now Jeter's totally forgotten about me right now. You know, I'm off the couch, but. It's interesting, you know, when you get into that environment with professional athletes, and you know, I wasn't used to that. There's just a whole nother class system. I mean, I go to one of the first Chiefs practices, and I pick up one of the balls, I'm throwing around playing catch, you know, and one of the Chiefs guys comes and goes, "Dude, man, you're gonna get kicked out of here on your first day. You know, put the ball down." And you know, it's a work environment, and you know, that's why you see guys go in the press box that don't know what the hell's going on, and they're up there cheering for their team, and everybody turns around and looks like, and you feel like, well, what do you mean I can't cheer? So it is. It's an interesting juxtaposition when you grab somebody out of the grandstand and just throw them in that environment, and that was me.
Yeah. Who's the Kansas City sports media personality that you think is really on a roll right now in the market? Is there anybody?
You know, Mick Schaefer's a guy, you know, that we talked about that I think, you know, he's made a great jump there from to go from the cable TV to that. What he's got the sportscast on Channel 9 now, but
41, I think.
But is it 41? Yeah. You're right. But is that a big deal? I mean, that's a 4-minute segment there. You know, that's a real question. Is television sports even worthwhile? That sportscaster, you know, that Frank Bowl or Jack Harry or Fortune had that for years, and you know, it was a big deal for a long time. The weather guys now is just kind of taken over everything, right? I mean, they have. Who the hell has 5 weathermen for one station? Why do you need that? And literally on our phones, I can find out exactly what that guy's going to tell me within a degree or two, you know, of what's going to happen. So. I like Schaefer. I think he's a real talent. Where he can go from there, or is that a career that's going to build? I honestly believe that local television will eventually get to the point where they're going to be one newscaster and maybe one male, one female, and they're going to just do everything. They'll do weather, they'll do sports, they'll do live cut-ins, those kind of things. I just think it's changing, and we're stuck in that 60 mode still that's going to disappear.
Yeah, very cool. Now, who is the best play-by-play announcer in the market, in your opinion?
Let's go through them real quick. Denny Matthews, no. You know, Denny's got a great voice. He's in his 50th year next year. 50 years. You got to tip your hat to him. But he's, I think, only still doing it because he wants to get to that 50 mark. He could care less about anything but just get to that 50. Mitch Holthus for the Chiefs. Loved him at K-State. I thought he was authentic, but he's such a caricature of what an NFL broadcaster or play-by-play guy should be. I think if the Chiefs went out there and as a team took a dump on the 50 in the first series, Mitch would just get incredibly excited describing that to you.
He would say it's the best dump he's ever seen.
It's just fantastic. What's great about Mitch is every season we are going to win the Super Bowl. We have this great team. And then 2 years later, after the Chiefs, you know, finished 7-9 or whatever, he's like, you know, I could see it back then. I could see it in April. It just was going to be our year. So whatever he tells me now, I'm thinking 2 years from now, he's going to go, you know, I could see it coming.
Good stuff. Now, speaking of the Chiefs broadcast, Kendall Gammon as a color analyst. I'm sorry. What do you think?
No, I mean Kendall was he was way over his skis when he was down there on the sideline getting live cut-ins there 3 or 4 times. You know, nice guy, knew some of the players, but nah, it obviously isn't. The play-by-play on radio just isn't important. I guess they don't think anybody's listening anymore. You know, it's on television. All the games are on the tube. There's Kendall Gammon's no. But you listen to any national broadcast of the NFL, they all have some old NFL guy on there who sounds like he's half drunk.
Have you listened to the Raiders on the radio?
Oh, God.
My God, Tom Flores, he sounds like he's 2 steps away from the coffin.
Well, Flores was playing with Lenny.
Yeah.
I mean, he was back in that era. So, no, it really is. It's Chicago's got same deal. And oh, gee, you know, the guy's doing a play-by-play and the color hands go, oh, I can't, oh, F-bomb.
Why did A10 dump K-State for KU?
I have no idea. I was hoping you could tell me.
No,
you know,
I don't have the answer.
I mean, K-State game's on. I had A10. You know, I did it just Saturday. You know, I'm like, oh, shoot, they're not over here anymore. You know, they're gone. It's got to be a deal where, and you know, Kevin Keesman is a K-State diehard guy. And he loved being the K-State flagship. I'm guessing that they must have valued that Kansas basketball, and that's our fourth franchise or third franchise, pro franchise, and that must be that valuable. It's going to be interesting to see if they go after the Royals as well. I kind of think they will. I think that
interesting.
It will also be coming up. So, yeah, that model's changed, and hell, you can't find what I think the K-State game was on 980s AM.
Was I don't try it.
Yeah, but it's kind of frustrating that they're having to move that around, and I'll bet Kansas State's not real happy with that because they have been Bill Snyder's era unbelievably successful. But Kansas basketball is in its own entity. It's another pro franchise. It's probably why we don't have the NBA here.
Right. Greg, what the hell happened to ESPN? The ESPN we used to know and love. It's
yeah, I can still remember. I think it was 82, 81. They were coming around selling cable to our apartment complex, and me and my roommate were like, the guy comes, knocks on our door. We like grabbed him and said, "Get your ass in here. Sign us up for everything you can. We want it all." And can you believe there's this channel dedicated to sports?
Right.
I mean, we grew up in an era where there's three TV stations, right? And so we're thinking, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. And Sports Center was a huge thing. Berman and his nicknames, all that stuff. And it's just deteriorated into this mess of Stephen A. Smith screaming at somebody. Who's the other bozo with him?
Is it the guy from Dallas?
Yeah. I can tell you, I am not a frequent viewer, but I've seen it enough to know that I don't want that. And I'm really surprised that ESPN decided, hey, that's how we need to go. And I don't watch ESPN anymore. I mean, I do watch the college football, and I'll go to the game day. I watch that session. I could care less about Lee Corso. The guy couldn't coach, can barely speak now. What is he doing on there? And they keep these dinosaurs around. They must sell. Somebody must dig that stuff. It's just not me.
The Fox Sports shows that have Whitlock and Nick Wright, I think, also has a Fox Sports show. What do you think of that?
I tried to watch Jason and Cower's show. I taped it, and I got through the first 45 minutes of the first show, and it's like, I'm out of here. I don't know who's watching Fox Sports. They're trying to duplicate, I think, what ESPN had or has over there, and it doesn't work for me, and obviously it doesn't work for the viewer. Nick Wright's show comes on like at 4:30 in the morning or 5 in the morning.
Oh my God!
Now, Nick really wants to be successful in this business, and he will do anything to be successful. So, power to him. He's got a national show.
Right.
And, I remember when he was here, he said, "Hey, listen, 5 years from now, Soren Petro," because him and Petro, they're both Syracuse grads, hated each other. He said, "Petro's still going to be doing this show, and I'm not. I'm going to be national," and he is. Now
the first time I remember when he started at 610, they put him on the Royals postgame show. Did you ever hear him on the Royals postgame show?
No. I used to hear him on Saturdays when I first heard him. He had a little show.
And
he was
credit
on
to him.
Postgame? Did
Oh my
he know
God!
anything about baseball?
Not very much, because even his boss was quoted in some media outlet that we put Nick in a tough spot because Nick didn't apparently know anything about baseball, and it was very uncomfortable to listen to. I don't think they kept him there very long, obviously, but after hearing Nick on that Royals postgame show way back in the day, I thought, no way this guy's going to be national. But look at him now. My God, he's done amazing.
I said that Nick would do anything to be successful, and I really believe that. And I don't think he's a bad guy. Quick story about Nick Wright, which I think is pretty interesting. So he comes out with the Chiefs picks, and he plays this bit where after the Chiefs draft, where he's picked 5 of the 7 picks, not all in the right order, but I just thought that was just an amazing achievement. I mean, who in the heck can nail 5 of the seven picks? So I called Nick, or I emailed him, and I said, "Hey man, I'd love to have you pick the following year, because I just want to have him on record, see how you do." Never really heard back from him, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I hear from a 6'10 guy. I'm telling him this story, and he goes, "Dude, he went in after the draft, taped the segment with him making these picks, and then he played it after the draft to make him look like he got these right."
No kidding.
And that just kind of stunk to me. And it just changed because I saw Nick as this young guy trying to make it, working hard, which I believe he is. But that just kind of stunk to me. It's something I wouldn't do, And then he wouldn't cop to it after I called him out. He said, "Who are you going to believe, me or Greg Hall?" Me.
Yeah. Do you want to get into you and Whitlock have an interesting history? Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or are we going to leave that alone tonight?
Jason and I were, great friends for about 5 years. Worked at the Star together. he called me when I had my facts column. He said, "Dude, you know, this shit's funny. You're kind of like Dave Letterman, because Letterman went to Ball State." And he said, "You know, how you doing this?" And I was typing on my typewriter, and we got to be great friends. We really did, for about 5 years. And then right after I got canned at 1510, I started writing this little story about it. And in there, and this is honest God truth, I had written like chapter 3 or 4 of that, and I sent it to Whitlock to read, and he called me back and goes, "You don't have enough me in there," which is very Whitlock-like. I said, "Okay." Funny. So I go, I can still remember when he called me, I'm mowing my grass, and I didn't have a cell phone, but we had those phones you could take out in the yard with you, whatever. Yeah, so I said, "Okay." So I go back in, write a little more about Jason there, kind of, you know, flesh it out a little bit. And what I'd written in there was that I said, you know, one of the things about Jason that makes him compelling is not his sports knowledge. That's not why he's a great writer. That's not why he's a popular columnist. Now, so I'll give you an example. I said, Joe DiMaggio dies, and Jason calls me, and Jason would call me 2 or 3 times a day, every day for about 5 years, and he goes, hey, Paul, Greg, I don't know what the hell he called me. So does Joe DiMaggio dies? He said, do you think I should write a column about him? And I said, well, what do you know about DiMaggio? And he said, well, he's that guy that played in all those games in a row, right? And I said, Jason, somebody should write a column about DiMaggio dying, not you. And so I wrote that and added that to the piece. Well, that pissed him off because it made him look, you know, like, hey, he didn't know what the hell's going on. And he didn't. I mean, no one thought Jason was great about Major League Baseball or anything there. But that started our slide. And not a slide, it was like a cliff.
Jumping off the cliff.
And
and we got a thing.
I'm proud of everything Jason's done. I mean, Jason has he's lost every friggin' job he's ever had, and turned that into a better job. Yeah. So you got to be hats off to him. The guy's had a fabulous career. Well,
and he's the one that kind of got Kansas City sports media rolling, because let's be honest, before him there was like Jonathan Rand and Gib Twyman, I think, were the Kansas City Star sports columnists.
Yeah.
Very soft, very, I mean, there's Sam Mellinger light. That's how light they were. Do you remember those two guys?
Oh, gosh, yeah. And we're going back in time if any of our younger viewers are out there. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. Jason wrote a column. It was on Kansas State, and he was making fun of K-State and Manhattan, and it was just an absolute hilarious dig. Well, no one did that in the local media. No one looked at our local teams and made fun of them, especially in print. Because back then, the Star was God. I mean, my gosh, if you read in the Star, it must be true. And here's Jason having fun with these guys, poking fun. I thought, man, this guy gets it. This is cool. This is something we haven't had. Now, the old guard at the Star hated that about Jason. Right. Just, you know, like, but that really moved us, and what a golden era it was. So then Joe Posnanski shows up, and here's this guy who ends up becoming this great storyteller, writer, and they're there at the same time. Totally different guys. Here's a quick Joe Post story. I just saw somebody had rewritten a story about Zach Greinke, and how Greinke was, and it was a Joe Po piece. And this is what Whitlock hated about Joe Po, because they did not like each other. They do not like each other. I haven't talked to Whitlock in 10 years, and I know he still doesn't like Joe Po. So I saw this little excerpt, and Greinke, it was Jeremy Affeldt had come out of the game, and Posnanski had written this all in quotes, a conversation that happened between Affeldt and Greinke, because Greinke said, "Hey man," he goes, "God, I just didn't have, it was a tough strike zone." Affeldt's kind of making an excuse, and Greinke goes, "No, man, you didn't have tonight. You sucked, And they have this. He tells this whole story, but he does it all in quotes. So, like he's in the dugout listening to this conversation and recording it. And he would do a little time. You would read his column, and he'd have all these quotes from the guys that are on the mound, like the manager and the catcher. And I'm like, "What the hell's Joe Po at? Is he out there?" And that just drove Jason up, because Jason was seen as this maverick, crazy writer, and Joe Po was the respected, authentic, old-fashioned sport. He would wear the old hat or whatever, tried to look like Grant.
It was good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, and Jason really, really didn't like that. I can't remember. The Star was going to roll out this ad campaign, and it did. It showed Whitlock as kind of the badass dude, right. And Posnanski is the cerebral writer, and Jason put an axe to that. Didn't go.
Yeah.
Jason made more money than Joe Paul. I think he always took credit for that. I
sure
took
he
joy
did.
in that.
Now, and then remember when Poznansky tried radio? And how, that
was
awkward.
And you know what? Hey, Jason, when he first went on television, because Channel 9 used to have him on Sunday nights, and he was horrible. I mean, horrible. But you know, he's a 26-year-old guy, had never been on television before, and he would ask me, he'd call me up and on the way home, he'd say, "Hey, how was I?" I said, "You sucked, man." He was so stiff and so afraid, you know, because when you're not used to that, and he was pretty good at it. You know, he was a, "Come on, man, I must have been good about something. How about that? How about that?" And I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll give you that." But it's funny when those guys step in those other mediums. It's not easy. You know, Adam Teicher's a guy, and he's gotten better over the years, but he wasn't a compelling guy that you wanted to listen to. Now on the radio, he's more relaxed, and he develops a rapport.
Right.
But you don't. Those guys are in newspaper for a reason.
Right.
You know, they're not great communicators.
Hey, what are you saying about newspaper guys? Do you remember the first time that Whitlock went on ESPN? He was on the Sports Reporters, and do you remember what he wore?
No, I don't. But that was a huge coup. The sport. There's another reason. I never missed the Sports Reporters on Sunday mornings. And I can't tell you the last time he'd look for it. It's now off the air.
Okay.
But for Jason to hit that show was huge for him.
It
I'm
was.
going to say a yellow. Yeah.
It was a yellow suit.
Yes.
And there was a sports media critic at the time. You might know him. I think his name was Greg Hall. He wrote that Whitlock picked out that suit for a reason. He was going to be remembered no matter what he said. He dressed like a school bus.
God, that was cruel, wasn't it?
Yeah, you wrote that. That was one of my favorite Greg Hall columns. But any questions from the audience? We good? All right, Greg. Well, we appreciate you coming on tonight and telling some of the old stories. Are there any other stories we need to get to before we sign off? And
God,
head to
no.
Tanner's?
We could tell stories all night. Don't want to keep your viewers on there, but no, I'm happy to come back sometime, do it again. Yeah, make that 75-minute drive from Overland Park.
You must have hit some traffic. You must have. We've got to send the Landmark chopper out after you next time. Well, Greg, we appreciate it, my friend.
Ivan, happy to be here.
All right, we're headed to Tanner's. Come on out to Tanner's. Get a selfie with Greg Hall. Tanner's Bar and Grill in Platte City. Sponsor tonight. That's where we're headed now. Until next week at Thursday night at 6 o'clock, we'll see you once again. Thanks, everybody.